there, social fam. Well, there's some things that have been placed on my heart. And as you know, if I'm coming to you with the She Speaks moment, it's because that means that there is something that he would like to say. So the other day, I was leaving church and I was guided to not go my typical route of leaving the way that I typically do. And the route that I was led on led me to this light, and I'm waiting for the light to change. And as I'm waiting for the light to change, I just happened to glance over to my left. And to my left, I saw this man tending to his garden. And as I began to intake the garden, if you know anything about me, I love all things beauty. I love essentially all things that are nature, but especially flowers. And I saw an array of flowers. If you want to know my favorite flower, it's sunflower. But the sunflower, there were lilies, there were all kinds of things. I don't know all of the flowers that are out there, but it was also impressed upon me to inform the gentleman who was out there tending to his garden. And so I just happened to roll down my window and I said, "Sir, happy Sunday." And he smiled. And I said, "I just have to tell you, your garden is so beautiful. It's so beautiful." And he chuckled and he smiled and he said, "Oh, thank you so much." He was like, and as he was sleeping, he was like, "It's my wife's." And I just laughed it off. And I said, "Well, I hope that you have a beautiful day." Here's the clincher. Within that moment of me complimenting him on his garden, guess what God did to me? God whispered to me in my spirit and he said, "Ashley, you have a beautiful garden as well." And I immediately, kind of became like this. I blushed up, I got excited. And then the thought began to come to me, how is it that I have a beautiful garden? Have you all considered what it actually takes for a farmer or a gardener to actually tend to their garden? I'm going to read from some notes here. What is it that a gardener actually does in the process of gardening? Well, in my research, one, a gardener or a farmer, a planter, they are going to plant carefully, meaning that they are choosing the right seeds or plants for the season and the soil, meaning that they plant them at the right depth and spacing for healthy growth. Watering regularly. They give plants enough water, but not too much, which causes or could cause rot or wilting. 3, they're weeding diligently, meaning that they pull out the weeds that steal nutrients and choke out healthy plants. Weeding keeps the good plants from being overwhelmed. 4, pruning and trimming. They cut back the dead or the overgrown parts so that the plant can grow stronger and bear more fruit or flowers. Pruning prevents disease and encourages new growth. Fertilizing and feeding. They enrich the soil with compost or fertilizer to give plants the nutrients they need to thrive. Watching for pests and disease, they keep an eye out for the bugs, the mold, or sickness that could spread. If a problem appears in the whole garden, they have a way to actually proactively protect it. Protecting and covering. They might cover or tend to the plants when it's too hot or too cold or stormy. They guard what's growing until it's strong enough, get this, to endure more. Harvesting and then enjoyment, meaning that when the fruit, the flowers or vegetables are ready, the gardener harvests them with care. A good gardener celebrates the growth they have actually helped nurture. So then I started to think deeper, because if we're thinking naturally, this also applies to us spiritually. So then the question popped up. I got my notes. The question popped up like, well then who is the garden? You and I, we are our own garden. Okay. What is the garden? It's your heart. It's your mind, it's your soul, it's your body, it's every part. Then the question is, what are you actually consuming? These are the things that started to begin to flow through me. What am I consuming? Well, it's based upon what are you planting? Remember, if you're a gardener, you don't want to plant fruit, oranges, when it's actually wintertime. You don't want to plant petunias when you should be planting daisies. But then realizing if you are tending to your garden, you actually need to have the right fruit. Let's look at what it means spiritually. Spiritually, it says that God, He Himself, He plants us, He waters us, He prunes us, He protects us, and watches over our growth. When He's tending to your heart like a garden, guess what has to happen? God then plants good seeds. Just like any other gardener, He chooses the good seeds that you need to be planted in for the season that you're actually in. Watering yourself daily, what does that actually look like? It means that you're actually spending time in daily prayer. It means that you are spending time in worship and you're actually tending to the scriptures to keep your heart fresh and alive. You know, John 7:38 says, whoever believes in me, there are rivers of living water that will then flow from within. Within addition to that, we're pulling out the weeds. Weeds represent sins, bad attitudes, bitterness, and distractions. If you don't remove them, then they will choke your spiritual life. That's Hebrews 12:15. See to it that no bitter roots grow up to cause a trouble and defile many. Prune what's unfruitful. Sometimes God prunes us, removing our bad habits, relationships, or thoughts that don't help us grow. Pruning can feel painful, but leads to more fruitfulness. That's John 15:2, where it says, every branch that does not bear fruit, He prunes, so that it will be more fruitful. In addition, we have to, in spiritual times, or as we are walking this spiritual life, we have to protect our garden. Just like any other gardener out there, gardeners guard their crops from storms and pests and thieves. You must guard your heart. That's Proverbs 4:23, where it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. In addition to that, stay patient. Why? Because gardens don't grow overnight. Spiritual growth also takes patience, it takes faithfulness, and trust in God's timing. That's Galatians 6:9, where it says, let us not be weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Every cut is a kindness. Every pruning is a promise. God is shaping you to bear greater fruit. I, like you, or you should be deciding to trust the process because I trust the gardener. Reminding you that God is making room in me as He's making room in you for better things. We have to decide to release what no longer serves His plan and embrace that you are growing even when it hurts. Reminder that if whatever God is removing, it's because He allowed it. Remember that He is the vine dresser. And also, in addition, I feel in my spirit to say, remembering that for He is the potter and you are the clay. But as we are tending our gardens, as He is removing and pruning and plucking and taking away the things that no longer serve you, whether that is people, whether that is places, whether that is things, whether it is all of the above, I'm in a season of let them. God, let it be so, because I don't want something that is no longer supposed to be attached to my life. And I'm in a season right now where I've realized in the things that I have decided to let go of, it has only created more space in my garden within where God should have been abiding the entire time. So I would encourage you, wherever you are in your life, do an evaluation, do a survey of your land, do a survey of your heart, do a survey of your mind. What is it within me what is it that is within my garden that should no longer be taking up space? What roots need to be snatched up so it's not contaminating, or as it said, contaminating, or I'm getting caught up in my words, that is smothering or causing the other weeds. The weeds are causing other good fruit or good flowers or good plants to rot and to wither and to die. God does not want you to be withered in this season. He doesn't want you to be withered in any season. But there is a time and a season where plucking and pruning has to happen. And I want to encourage you, don't hang on to any fruit, to any seed that has been planted that is not bringing forth the fruit that you are looking to see being yielded in your life. If this message came across your screen, it's because it's a reminder that you need for you, that your season has changed, or you are in a season of transition. And in order for you to be fruitful, in order for you to multiply, in order for you to be in abundance, in order for you to be in the land of good and plenty, you have to be willing to let go of the things that are not serving you, the things that have taken your life, that have taken your strength, that have taken your joy, that have taken your hope. Remove them, snatch them up, seek God, and understand what is it, or what is not required for the season that I'm in. Who is not required for the season that I am in? If I am in a season and you are in a season of elevation, that means that there's a cap of where everyone cannot go with you. And if you are carrying on to the dead weight, you're allowing your good seeds to be withered and to be rotted and to dry up. You have worked too hard. You have done the work in planting and really tilling the soil, preparing for your harvest. Don't squander your seed. Don't squander your harvest because you're too afraid of what the next season would look like for growth. Here's the other thing. Sometimes growth can be intimidating, but I am sitting here and reminding you, you are called, you are required, and you are needed. But we won't know that if you are not doing the proper work on a daily basis, feeding yourself for the journey that you're on to become who you need to become. And as you know, we are overcomers over here. And we overcome by the words of our testimony, what we are speaking. You know, if we have a plant, I attempted to be a plant mom at one point. I'm going to get back into it. But the reality, you know, they say you have to speak life over that plant. You have to be in a position where it's getting the proper nutrients. It's getting the proper amount of sun, maybe too much sun, not enough. Maybe the soil needs to be turned out. Maybe the environments need to be shifted or changed. I'm here to remind you, if God is doing the removing, it's because He allowed it. So I'm reminding myself, but more so I believe God's just reminding me. When I decided to cut my hair in October of last year, I didn't tell a soul. I had been contemplating that for probably a year, maybe a year and a half. And I just didn't feel like it was needed or required. If you've known me long enough, you know my hair was literally down my back. And over years, time span, I slowly but surely did the snipping, did the plucking, did the pruning, did the, all of the things, all the trimming that was required. And I had this internal perspective of just how much I had been going through. And a lot of things were out of my control at that point in life. And I knew when I came to this decision, it was a personal decision for me. And neither did it require or need any outside validation. Let's just say a lot of people were shocked. A lot of people were taken back. Some people had a personal issue with the fact that I didn't consult with them. Let them. That's their little red wagon. I've actually noticed that some people had actually emotionally and mentally and then physically detached themselves from me during that process and during that time. But I took it as when that snip happened, I literally felt the dead weight, the weight of things, the weights and opinions and past experiences and thought processes and ways of being lifting and dropping to the ground. And to be in this space now, to know October and now we're in April and baby, she's healthy. She's thriving. She's well. She's alive. I'll never forget my elementary school. She's the longest standing friendship I have outside of, let's say, my siblings and my parents, but from kindergarten. And when she cut it, she was a little bit more emotional than me, and then we both became emotional. But as soon as she cut it, to the desired length, she said, sis, your hair, and she was touching it. She said, it's alive. It's been waiting to come out. It's been waiting for this moment. And I can't even begin to tell you, the more that I see this, my hair sprout and bloom. And yes, I had to go through some adjustments. I had to change my salad dress. I'd get dressed and I'm like, the things that I used to wear, I can't wear anymore. And the places that I used to go, I can't go anymore. And I'm just kidding. I still went to places. But I realized it changed a lot. But it was the changes that were needed and required. And as we're talking about being in a place where we were actually tending to our gardens, I realized that this chop wasn't just about a new hairstyle. It was about becoming a whole new person. It gave me, I feel like, a whole new life. It gave me back parts of me that I had lost. Like, I had literally lost my curl pattern. But within that, I realized I have gained so much more within myself. And my purpose of recording this is because I say that my hair and the rate that it's growing and really blooming, it's the rate of what's really taking place within me. It's all of this internal growth. It's this inertia. It was like a boom. It was like God was like, yes, now. It's like he said, now you can be who I always wanted you and called you to be. Now you can do the things that you have always been called and predestined to do. Now you can see the places and the spaces of what was not healthy for you then. And it's really essentially not healthy for you now. And so as you're in this season of tending to your garden, as you're in this season of overcoming to become whatever that is for you, don't be afraid to cut what needs to be cut. Don't be afraid to shed what needs to be shed. My whole wardrobe has changed. I've seen it brought upon this whole elevation in presentation because, baby, it gotta look the part. And baby, she's something. And no, I'm not just talking about a haircut. Anyone could trim or cut or pluck or wax or shave any part. You could change. Here's the reality. I always say, you're not a tree. You can move, you can change, and growth is change, not just time, because in 5 years, 10 years, or 15 seconds, you can still be in the same place, but it's a conscious, like internal, like emotional choice that you make before you ever physically decide to do something. And so, like I said, this growth is a representation, and I guess you can say the revelation that I got of what's truly just happening on the inside. And so as the plucking is happening, as the snipping is taking place, but the right things are being planted in the soil, I just want you all to accept the growth because it's beautiful and it's blooming here. I would just encourage you to embrace the things that you know that you need to change. Do the things that you know that you're called to do. Become who you're supposed to become. And who knows? But I got an inkling that on the other side of that transformation, on the other side of digging up the roots and snatching out the weeds, you're going to see that the soil has always been good. You just needed the right seeds, or maybe it is the right nutrients. Maybe you needed more water. You'll be able to see that the things that you thought you lacked, you actually really had. You just couldn't see because there were things that were covering the actual growth and the life that was there. I just want to encourage you. You don't have to stay where you are. Growth and transformation, baby. It looks good on you. And just one last reminder. Don't go replanting what he has plucked out.